Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the 415. I'm Raina Starr, so you don't have to be, you lucky people. With me, as always, is my co-host, the amazing Starr Bustamonte. Say hello, Starr.
Hello, Starr.
As per usual, the opinions cited on the 415 belong to that of me and my wonderful co-host, Starr. We ask you to please visit the House of Black Hat Magic in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. I ask you to visit my other show, Desperate House Witches, and to visit DorothyMorrison.com for all things Dorothy Morrison. Again, the opinions expressed on this show are of me and my co-host, and I feel a rant coming on, but we're gonna start elsewhere first. So let's dig into this. Oh, by the way, there's going to be a lot of cursing, some possible crying, and maybe even some pleading, but I don't know yet. So sit tight, children. Go ahead, Starr. Get us started.
Okay. Well, I mean, so last week at the beginning of this week was pretty exciting. The fuckery of the Supreme Court knows no bounds.
None.
Yeah, like none. If their ruling in the Chevron case was not bad enough, which for those of you who may not have been, who may, like, I don't know, be living under a rock or in a basement or a bunker or never ever watch or listen to the news or go on social media, basically, the first really horrible ruling, well, no, I can't even say it was the first. Just about every ruling they've handed down this session has been pretty awful. But last week's ruling of Chevron was particularly awful because now the court has placed itself in a position to be an authority on what constitutes, regulations. So no longer will experts that work for, like, the EPA and other, scientific experts who, like, I don't know, like, this is their life's work of studying these things and helping us to set regulations for businesses that, whether we're talking about, safe drinking water or safe working conditions or, all of that. Nope. Now the Supreme Court will the courts will decide what is proper regulation, not experts. So that's really great. We're all pretty excited about that because that's like some fuckery. And then they handed down a ruling on Monday, but sandwiched in between was the debate, right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But, so the ruling basically that the court handed down on Monday is the height of fuckery because they basically have made it incredibly difficult to charge and prosecute Trump now. But I think their handiwork is going to come back to bite them in the ass because I spent hours trying to parse out what the fuck that ruling even means, and they don't even know. Okay, you can go online, you can find the ruling. All rulings handed down by the Supreme Court are available to read for free online. But they don't even know. So they basically what what they said was they partitioned immunity to apply to official acts. That anything that was not an official act undertaken by the president while in office was not subject to immunity, but anything that he did while in office would be, and as part of his official duties would, immunity applied, which there was certainly some hilarity online of people saying, well, Biden could just, go, commit all kinds of crimes that might be helpful, getting rid of the entire Republican Party, and if he did it and said that, well, there was a terrorist and then just, blew up the Republican conference, then that would constitute an official act, and he would have immunity.
Allegedly.
Surely that's not what he intended, but what the court intended. But so there was certainly some hilarity to that. I think that this will eventually get fixed because nobody is above the law. It's probably going to take a minute, and I haven't even had an opportunity to really dig into all of how that might be overturned. But so that was pretty bad as the Roberts Court's decisions that have been handed down go. That one is even worse than Citizens United, which was one of the worst rulings he ever handed down, and it's right up there with overturning Roe. So yay, really terrible.
And how many? Let me ask you a question because I want folks to remember. How many liberals are on the Supreme Court?
2.5.
How many fundamentalist Republicans are on the Supreme Court? Conservative
6.
Republicans? And how
6.
did 6 get there?
That would be because Donald Trump appointed 3.
And isn't it true that Donald Trump legitimately should have only been able to appoint 2? 1. Oh. Can you explain to me how he got 3 out of 1 legitimate appointment?
So Obama, in the last year of his last term, wanted tapped Merrick Garland to replace Scalia.
Yep.
I think it was Scalia. And
not that it matters, but go ahead.
And the turtle of the Senate, which would be McConnell, because he does look a lot like a turtle. Which that may be a slam to tortoises everywhere. Just refused to even bring it for a vote. Said it was too close to the election, and this was 10 months out. That it was too close to the election, and that the Senate refused to take it up. So Garland got cheated out of being out of the seat, but also and it really skewed the court. Coney Barrett was appointed 10 days before the election.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those rules only apply to Democrats. If you have a Democrat that's president, then it doesn't. Then you have to wait. But if you're a Republican, you can just 10 days before the election, you can appoint whoever you want, I guess. But yeah.
Okay, so the Democrats got robbed of one, and how did the Democrats get robbed of number two?
I'm not sure. Maybe two of those.
Because I know Ruth died, so I think we were actually. I don't think we got robbed of that one necessarily, but in essence,
no, that was
robbed
Coney
of
Barrett. That was Coney Barrett.
Oh, that was Coney Barrett. Okay.
Yeah, that was
and
Coney
that
Barrett.
was before the election. So that's two we got robbed of because of
Gorsuch,
the Republicans.
Right. Gorsuch was who was appointed to replace Scalia.
Right.
Which
that was
he's
the last
kind
one.
of an interesting character himself because he occasionally sides with the liberals. So it's it's he can sometimes be not on anything like abortion, but when it comes to land rights and indigenous rights, he often sides with the liberal end of the court, which is kind of interesting. So he's kind of like he's a little bit of a wild card. But yeah, and then Kavanaugh, of course, was horrible.
Yeah. So in essence, Trump bought the court. Okay, Republicans bought it for him partially. He won it partially, but not through appropriate means all the way through. I'm not going to say he stole the whole thing because he didn't steal the whole thing. Some of it he legitimately appointed through his own means. However, if anyone remembers the hearings, there were lots of arguments against Kavanaugh. There were lots of arguments all the way through, which would be under any circumstance because everybody wants their side in. I get that. But the Republicans did a couple of them under complete fuckery, you'll agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah. First, absolutely. Two of them, I mean, the first was Gorsuch because, if the Senate would have allowed hearings to replace Scalia, we would have gotten Merrick Garland. And if they had blocked Trump from appointing a judge the way they had blocked Obama, we would not have gotten Coney Barrett. So, yeah. So point taken. So remember that because this is going to be important later on. Okay, there won't be a test, but make a note of that.
You need to know. Yeah, I want folks to remember how we got here in the first place because the Supreme Court, which we used to look up to as the seat of government where laws were really made and upheld, our final decision makers, which used to be more fair and balanced, are no longer that. Okay? It is made up of conservatives who have been bought and paid for. Okay?
Well,
not that we have no representation. I mean, this is just an opinion, that it has been bought and paid for on the conservative side. It is obviously not balanced any longer. There is no balance at all. Also, of course, at 9, you're never going to have it 100% balanced because there has to be a deciding factor. Usually the Chief Justice breaks that tie, or used to be. It used to be that case. But now we're in a position where the court is heavily conservative, and all of the decisions that have come forward hence have not been to the public majority favor. I'll just put it that way for now.
Well, 70% of the U.S. thinks abortion should be legal. Okay, 70%.
Correct.
So, and there are ballot initiatives that are going on. I just saw this morning that Ohio delivered 731,000 signatures to the Ohio State House. Okay, to prevent gerrymandering is going to be on the ballot. And this is what's been happening in states where they want abortion on the ballot. Remember what happened in Kansas, and it shocked everyone. So, you know, there are ways to fix this, and I think that maybe this summer, while the court is in recess, that maybe we should have one just whole episode where all we do is talk about the Supreme Court and what some of the possible solutions for restoring balance might be, because that could be a lot of fun. So one of the things that that I've been noticing, the other thing that happened last week was the debate, and then the fallout from the debate. And Raina's going to have more to say about that in just a little bit. I'm going to let her off of her leash, and hopefully she'll exhaust herself so that when I go back to put her leash back on, she doesn't like chew my face and arm off. But so there are there are a few things that have you had your shots? That's the important thing. Yeah. She's fully vaccinated, so even if she bites me, I'll be okay. There's been this very curious thing happening on social media and off of social media, and it's been all over the news. That Democrats in disarray, that they want Biden to step down. Biden should step down. Okay. I want you to think back to the 2016 election and everything that led up to that. I want you to think about how many stories about her emails we heard over the course of that election, and now we're seeing pretty much the same thing with Biden. One of the differences that I see is that it is mainstream media that is really driving this. There was Aaron Fritzner, who is a reporter, published a very splendid thread this morning, or actually it was yesterday, I'm sorry, where he really kind of got into this whole thing of how news and the shift in editorial standards are amplifying this particular story, and Biden's age in particular. Okay, there has been a huge focus on this, but even tried and true sources like Reuters, are publishing stories that, without any kind of provenance or using unnamed sources. There was yesterday. Apparently, there was a story going around that there was a memo that, or a secret letter that was making the rounds, that was signed on by like 25 Democrats. Nobody seems to be able to nobody has a source for this. There's no receipts on that. Fritzner is a reporter, and he's like, he had people asking him, like, what did he know? Like, where, they're trying to source this to report on it. But I want you to look at, like, the number of stories that are being published about, all of the Democrats are panicked, they're freaking out, they want Biden to step down. I'm going to tell you, this is a bunch of bullshit. If you watch the debate, Donna Brazile, who's long been a spokesman for the Democrats, was like, she said that night that this was nonsense, that Biden would not be stepping down, and Also, there's not a vehicle for that to happen. Biden is not the first candidate or even incumbent to have a bad debate. Raina and I talked about this earlier in the week. I mean, some of Obama's first debates were absolutely terrible. They were terrible because he was used to lecturing, okay? He was not used to the fast and clipped answers that you need to give in a debate. Clearly, Biden was not feeling well, for whatever reason. He is 81 years old. And also, he was left in a position where he had to fact check everything that was coming out of Trump's mouth, because you can't let those kind of lies stand. Now, I blame CNN largely for this, because they said, well, we'll fact check after the fact. Well, that's great. After all of your viewers have tuned out, yeah, that's when you want to fact check. So it's pretty. It was pretty awful. The punditry after the debate was pretty awful. But what I want you, the listener, to really think about is, where are these stories being sourced from? Now, this thread that Fitchner posted, I mean, he gives dozens and dozens of examples of stories that are being posted that have no legitimate source or unnamed source. And we're talking big publications, like the Wall Street Journal says, some of President Biden's top donors, I mean, okay, which top donors? So, as Fitchner says, so somebody says something spicy, and then an editor says, yeah, let's go ahead and print that. They even flipped what Clyburn said around to make it seem like he was in that court. So there's a lot of fuckery going on in the news. And for those of you who follow me, I'm still on Twitter. I will not call it what it's being called, what Elmo wants you to call it. It's Twitter. It'll always be Twitter, and I'm going to call it Twitter until the day I die or it dies. But what I said when I reposted that thread was to wake the fuck up and be skeptical and check the sources being cited and look for the receipts. And if those things are not happening, then you cannot trust whatever is being published. You just can't. The news plays a huge role in this, and they are driving this whole fucking thing. Is Biden old? Yes, he's fucking old. He is old. My friends, he is 81. He's old. However, look at what he's done in the last 3.5 years. Because the alternative to that is authoritarianism. And so we're going to have a little refresher course on what that might look like. Okay? Because one of the things that I keep hearing is a lot of people saying, well, how did we get here? How did we get here? Well, to really answer that question, you have to go back all the way to World War II. I've been listening to Rachel Maddow's second season of Ultra. And if you're not familiar with it, I'm going to heavily recommend that you listen to it. She did her first season, I think, started I want to say November of 2021. So she's had a pretty good break before she released season 2, which just started the beginning of June. It's fucking fantastic. It's history that even I didn't know, and I'm the biggest nerd there ever was. I love history. She's a great storyteller, and these tales are compelling, and they show how, we have been not necessarily where we are in this moment, but the groundwork has been laid to get us to where we are, and you got to go back to the 1940s and even before to really understand it. Another really great interview this week on all of this was Heather Cox Richardson. CNN interviewed her, and the interview is about, I don't know, it's 11 or 12 minutes long. I highly recommend that you find it and listen to it. Christian and what is her name? She used to be on PBS. NN4? I can't think of what her name is. Anyway, she works for CNN now, or does some stuff for CNN. She's a great correspondent. She interviewed Heather Cox Richardson, and Cox Richardson's point really was this coming up election is not about whether, we have a Republican president or a Democrat president. It is not either one of those things. It is about the difference between keeping our democracy or becoming under authoritarian rule. And I don't think that people get it. I don't think they understand how absolutely dire we are, what kind of a dire state we are in right now. This is. They say this every election, that this is the most important election, and yes, they're all important, but this one in particular, if you want to live the way people in Russia live, then that's what another Trump presidency will look like. He said he will be coming after the people who have opposed him, that he will remove all of the public servants that might not be loyal to him. These are the words of a dictator. That is what authoritarianism is. It's a dictatorship. It means that, all of the things that we enjoy in this country, many of them will be going away. We have been inching towards this in the course of the last, decade. Just a woman's right to choose, all of that is gone. Now we have to finagle and decide how we're going to move forward. Everything is on the table. They have even said that, that they would, interracial marriage, that's problematic. There have been a number of states who have rolled back no-fault divorce. And for those listeners who may not understand the significance of that, prior to women's rights and no-fault divorce coming into play in a number of states, women, you had to, even if you got the shit beat out of you by your husband, they still might not grant you a divorce. You might not have the right to get divorced. And those are just a few things. The list is endless. But that is where we're headed if Trump gets elected. Just point blank. That is where we are headed. So, you don't like Biden, you think he's too fucking old? Well, too fucking bad. You need to vote. You need to vote for him. And I think Raina might have something to say about that. Raina, do you have something to say about that?
Raina has something to say about that. Before I launch into this thing, I also want to remind people, till 1971, women did not have the right to choose. Actually, 1972 is when Roe became established.
Yeah.
I also want to remind people that until 1975, women could not have credit or a bank account unless a man co-signed. It's not that long ago. It is not that long ago. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And we are heading back to that. So if you like the fact that you can write your own checks, female people or people who identify as females, I'm going to tell you, we're looking at that shit going away. We are also looking at, Russia would be kind to what Trump has in store. We are talking about North Korea. We are talking about being afraid to publicly have any kind of discourse that your leader would not like. But that's for the next time I have a rant, which I'm sure I will have many of before the end of President Biden's term. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and I'm about to start this rant because I'm a little upset, and I'm not going to bore you with the fucking details of my week, which have not been stellar on a personal basis. But that's okay, because we're going to talk about what happened directly after this fucking debate happened. And I'm talking to the Republicans first, and I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for the wake-up call, because I thought I understood how things were going down. I didn't. I really didn't. I thought you guys were just all fucking lemmings who banded together like little lemmings. You had no thought process. You all just jumped off the ledge, one after the other, because you were too stupid to think. I was wrong. I was fucking wrong. Listen to me. You know what? You guys know how to win because you are smart. You do know what's up. You band together. Holy shit. You guys get your marching orders. You band together. No matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, no matter what bullshit your fucking leader does, you guys stick together. And that's how you win. Holy shit. Fucking liberals, Democrats, anybody who is questioning whether Joe Biden should be the nominee, you fucking children. You thankless, thoughtless, feckless, faithless babies. I have never seen so many people shit the bed at once. Get your act together. We look stupid. We look stupid and childish, and we are doing their job for them. What is wrong with you? We are being manipulated by the media. The media doesn't give a fuck. They are making ratings. They are making money. That is their job. We are doing this to ourselves. We look stupid. Stop it. This is why we can't be trusted. I never saw this in my whole life. The pearl clutching, the crying, the hysteria. It is ridiculous. I am going to tell you what it is we are going to do, because we cannot have this bullshit anymore. And we are going to take a lesson from our Republican friends. Number one, you will not shit the bed at the first sign of trouble. The man had a cold and took some medicine. When I take Dayquil, I sound like I've been drinking for a week. Calm down. The man has done more for our country in 3 years than most presidents do in 2 terms. We have a smoking fucking economy. I don't care what bullshit you've heard. Men in their 60s are getting new jobs, better jobs than they had for decades. Okay? Do better. Try harder. When someone tells you that Biden is too old, I don't want to hear old. not talking about that. The man is fine. The worst that will happen is we will have the first black female president. What is wrong with you? This is a win-win. Therefore, we're going to do what the Republicans do. When someone says Biden is old, we are going to smile and say, no, he's fine, and end the conversation. We are not going to debate Republicans. We are not going to debate liberals and Democrats. We are not going to fight each other. We are going to agree that we are going to vote nominee, whoever that is. I don't care if they tell us we're voting for Dirty Jim Socks. You will vote for the Dirty Jim Socks. But if they tell you we are voting for Biden, then motherfucker, get in line. We are voting for Biden. Stop worrying about your feelings. This has nothing to do with your fucking feelings. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about my feelings. It doesn't matter what I feel. This is what happened when we cared about feelings in 2016. You didn't like Hillary. You didn't like Hillary, got us Trump. Fucking stop. You're not voting for JFK Jr. You're not voting for Marianne Williamson. You are voting for the Democratic Party's nominee for president. I don't care what they tell you. Stop engaging. You are making yourselves upset. You are feeding into media bullshit. You are feeding into Republican trickery. You're feeding into media trickery. Stop. When November comes, or whenever you can vote early, which in a lot of places is in October, get your ass to the polls. Do not discuss. Do not argue. Do not look at media that questions. Stop making yourselves upset. If we stick together, we can get this thing done. There are more of us than there are of them. This is why they're throwing all of this bullshit at us. They are trying to distract us. And you're letting it happen. I want you to all unclutch your pearls. I want you to unclench your butt cheeks. I want you to stop being manipulated by the media. I want you to stop fighting with people. I want you to get out your big girl panties and put them on. And let's win this fucking thing. Stop talking about age. That's a non-starter. I love y'all. Let's save this fucking country. Rant over.
Wow. That's it?
That's how we win. That's all we got to do.
Well, I agree. I think that, so I think we'll take a little trip down memory lane here for just a second. So let's go back to 5 years ago at the Lincoln Memorial. This is what Trump actually said during a speech at the Lincoln Memorial on the 4th of July, 5 years ago today. Quote, "The Continental Army suffered the bitter winter of Valley Forge, found glory across the waters of the Delaware, and seized victory from Cornwallis of Yorktown. Our Army manned the air. It rammed the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. And at Fort McHenry, under the rocket's red glare, it had nothing but victory. And when dawn came, the Star-Spangled Banner waved defiance." He actually said that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, there were no airports. Yeah. And this is what some people want to put back in office, a man who, yeah. So I just thought that would cheer you up a little bit. So some other things that I think we ought to talk about today, like, so if you think that Raina and I are just being hysterical women who, are overreacting to all of this. I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to keep mentioning it. The Project 2025 it's a pretty horrible document that on the face of it reads like, policy, and it is anything but. We're going to continue to talk about this right up until the election because I can't overstate how important this is. I understand that the Wild Hunt will have an article about Project 2025 that will be published next week. I strongly encourage you all to read that article. It was written by Manny, who is the editor-in-chief. And so, yes.
See, sorry. So, to give the Wild Hunt, I want you to give the Wild Hunt, I think I'm losing my voice, give the Wild Hunt all of your support. Go to wildhunt.org. It's the only real journalism for pagans by pagans. Fuck, I lost my throat. Anyway. Okay. Please visit wildhunt.org. Give it all your support. It's a pagan paper of record. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so definitely look for that article next week. If Manny wrote it, it's going to be well sourced, and it's going to make you think and point out the things that you need to know. We're all, our livelihoods, anybody who practices an alternative spiritual path that would fall under the heading of paganism in even the broadest of terms is under threat. Over and over again, people have told me, said, well, there are so few pagans, they're not going to come for us. I got news for you.
Yeah, right. When I talk to people at work, because I work with a whole bunch of Republicans, and I talk to them, and I'm like, and this was just the other day, and I'm like, I'm very much concerned about the rights of non-Christian folks. And this is what I hear. Oh, honey, don't worry your pretty little head about that. Nothing's going to happen. And I'm like, have you read any of this stuff? And they're like, he's not going to change anything. You're fine. And then the conversation ends. So when I tell folks, don't engage in a way that you're just going to be standing there and getting aggravated and upset. I'm telling you this from my personal experience because I have stood there and I have tried to have these conversations with Republicans and I've tried to reason it out with them. And they are so single-minded and they do believe what they believe, and they all know if they do stick together, they have a chance of achieving their goal. And I know that as a liberal, we're much more free-thinking. We like collective ideas. We like to hash things out amongst ourselves and bring in all kinds of ideas because we believe that, multiple ideas bring multiple solutions to problems. And we like that about ourselves. But there are certain times where you got to just say, for the good of all, we have to band together and land on this one simple idea. And, this debate and this reaction afterwards really brought that home for me. And just watching all this hand-wringing and freaking out has been more than I can bear. I have literally been, and yes, I've got some personal shit going on too, but just watching the collective freak has really brought this home to me in a way it's never been brought home before. And after watching what happened in 2016, where people went off this way and this way, and that was the margin that we lost by. the free thinkers, the independents, the third-party voting. It shouldn't have happened. It should have been locked down. There should have been no question. But now everybody with their, this, that, people, blah, 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 blah. No. Trump, because he sounds like he knows what he's doing when he produces nothing but word salad and lies. Well, fuck, I could sound strong and lie to you all motherfucking day, too. I can make up words and just ramble on. I look like I'm typing 120 words per minute if I'm just typing keys and nothing has to make sense. That's easy. And that's the equivalent, you know? So, yeah, it doesn't have to be anything. If it just, you know, it shouldn't all be image. Yeah, I don't understand why people don't realize that. You know, have we become that much of a cult of personality that it's got to... That's it?
Yeah.
Just noise. Yeah, just fucking noise.
Well, and I think that's a very valid point, you know. I mean, so one of my takeaways from the debate, they broke Daniel Dale. He's the fact checker for CNN. And afterwards, okay, there were like 30, at least 30 things that Trump said, which is like all of them, that were lies. But when they got to the golf thing, like Daniel Dale said on Twitter, I got nothing. I got nothing. Like they broke him. They broke Daniel Dale, okay? Well, which I think Trump broke him. But, you know, the fact that CNN gave Trump a platform to just lie repeatedly over and over and over again with no fact-checking was ridiculous. So what? So people want somebody who's slick and lies and has been convicted let's not forget, he's been convicted of 34 felonies. That's who they want in office? Really? All righty then.
It reminds me of the George W. Bush. You know, I'd like to have a beer with him. First of all, the man didn't drink, and he wouldn't have a beer with you. The president, okay, you know, here's the thing. Your president should be smarter than you at all times, okay? Your president should not be the kind of guy who kicks back with you and has a beer, ever. I want the president to be the smartest man in the room at all fucking times. The president should not be my pal. My president should know more about everything than I do. I'm good with that. I have no shame in my game. That is fine. That is the president's job. You are to know more about every other country than I do. You are to know more about diplomacy than I do. You are to know more about the workings of government than I do. That is your fucking job. You are the president. I don't want to have a beer with you. I don't want to have a beer with anybody. But you know what I'm saying? You should be the smartest person.
Well, I was going to say that, you know, that you don't even like beer, so
right.
That's a lie.
Beer in my life.
That's a lie. But, you know, well, hey, there's nothing wrong with, I mean, Obama probably would have drank a beer with you. And I think that,
but he's smarter than me. I know he's smarter than me. It's not a power round situation.
Okay, but here's the thing. They don't have to necessarily be that much smarter than you, but they have to be smart enough to pick really smart advisors. So no one person who is going to hold that office can know everything. And the glaring difference between what was the Trump presidency and administration and what is the Biden administration is that Biden has some of the smartest, best, and brightest people working in his cabinet, working as ambassadors, working as advisors. You know, he doesn't have to know everything, but he has to have people who do. And he has done that, you know, excellently.
Really well.
I mean,
yeah.
And we can look at look at the last 3.5 years since he took over. You know, the American economy, and this is another thing, you're going to regret that we've gone down this road, because this is another thing that makes me want to holler. Okay, if you look at all of the countries in the world whose economy has rebounded better than all of the rest of them, the U.S.'s. And this is largely due to Biden's policies and the tactics that he has taken. You know,
I'm doing better than ever. My family's doing great.
Well, I mean, I think most people are doing okay. I think that, you know, if Biden is allowed to do what he wants to do for, you know, middle income and below, that it's going to be good. But, you know, so I listened to some things with Pete Buttigieg the other day. He's pretty fantastic, okay? And he's like, when it comes to hitting the talking points, and now see, there's somebody I'd totally have a beer with Pete. But these are the kind of people, this is the quality of people that Biden brings, you know? Anybody that was in the former Trump administration that had two brain cells to rub together that wasn't going to do irreparable harm and damage to our country, none of those people are coming back. There will be no adults in the room this time around. You know, I mean,
no, absolutely.
So, I mean, we have to look at all of that. But you're right. You know, Biden is what? He's an elder, according to Manny. He says Biden is an elder. So what? Respect your elders.
Respect your elders.
Yeah. Thanks, Manny. That's a great quote.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, we're not talking about drunken grandpa here. We're talking about somebody who has 45 years of experience in public service and who served 2 terms as vice president and now 1 term as president. So, yeah, Wisdom. You know, you're right. Get your ass in gear, and yeah, I don't care if it's dirty gym socks. Yeah, that's who I'm voting for. But no, there is no choice here. There is no choice.
There isn't. We have to band together. We have to band together. Yeah. There's just no way around it. You know, I understand that people want their feelings to count. I'm sorry. They no longer do. What counts is saving the republic and making sure it stays saved. It matters to get our rights back, because with Trump, we know what we're in for. And none of it is good. None of it's good. You cannot show me anything redeeming for women, for people of color, for minorities of any kind, for people of gender fluidity of any kind. I'm telling you, it's a shit show under Trump. If you're anything but like straight white Christian and male, it's ridiculous. No, I do not want to live in the actual Handmaid's Tale. Thank you so much. I don't want to live in North Korea. Thank you so much. No. And this is what he has promised us. This is what they have promised. And for what they've already done to us as people, I am not looking for any more. overthrowing Roe was bad enough and lower than I thought they would even go. And I'm horrified. And Project 2025, maybe we should make posters and put paper building sides with it. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for people to wake up. But when it's like a relationship. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Trump has told you who he is. Believe him.
For sure.
Believe him.
And they're saying the quiet part out loud. They are saying the quiet part out loud. Somebody from the Heritage Foundation just yesterday or last night said that we were in a second American Revolution and it would be a bloodless one if the left allows it. They fucking said that. I mean, they are not even trying to hide it, okay? They are not even trying to hide it. You know, so if you are anything other than a white man and a Christian, and even then I think you have to be the right kind of Christian because, you know, Biden's a Catholic and obviously he's of the devil. So, you know, there is no...
I'm laughing, but I'm serious, you know.
Yeah, but there's no choice here.
Very funny.
I mean, there's no choice. Either you believe in the principles of this country and you believe in democracy, or you don't. Those are the, you know, that's all there is to it. And so, you know, today is July 4th, Independence Day, the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And, you know, and yet here we are. So if you would like to have another celebration of July 4th ever, then you better wake up and you better vote for Biden because there's really, you know, I also want to point out that there is no real vehicle at this point for removing him as the candidate. Okay?
Yep.
I mean, one of the things that Heather Cox Richardson said yesterday was that while there had been candidates that had dropped out, incumbents, that then the party, whoever they replaced them with, did not win the election at this late date. So, you know, essentially, Biden stepping down or stepping out would just ensure that Trump wins. So
Absolutely. We have to act as a single voice, guys. I cannot tell you enough times how important it is that we stick together at this late date. It is very important, and we win if we do. We just win. I want you to stop getting upset. I want you to stop listening to things that are freaking you out. Everybody has a bad day. Everyone has a bad debate. Everyone gets older. These are things that, if you know, we're lucky, happen to us. Life, okay? But the Biden economy is deemed. Let's not stop it now. Again, the worst that could happen, may the gods not take him out before his time, obviously, but the worst that can happen is we have Kamala Harris as our next president. I mean, this is bad? No, this is not bad. Bring her where it's supposed to be, but just don't engage in the petty arguments and don't listen to the media that's just trying to make money. Stay true to the party, to just keep us where we are now and with improvement and time, and just make sure that Trump doesn't get elected again, because our country cannot take it. He will undo so many other things. Roe v. Wade was the tip of the iceberg. That was just their opening shot. don't give them a chance to undo more. Just stay focused. Stay focused. Stay in the lane. Don't engage. Don't get upset. Don't fight with people. Don't listen to the naysayers. Everybody stay together. This is how Republicans do it, and they've won with it. We can do the same, and we can slam those numbers because there are more of us than there are of them. We just can't have this waffling and this strife and the backbiting and the, no, we can't have any of that anymore. We're not going to do it, okay? Okay.
Okay. Well, and I think that it's fair to say that we are now really in a constitutional crisis, considering this latest ruling. So, because it really does go against what our founding documents say. So, you know, and I think that that's something that we definitely, we should do a show just on Supreme Court, maybe next month.
Okay.
But I agree with everything you said. You know, I mean, this goes so far beyond what you might feel or what you like or don't like. This is a matter of whether or not our country continues to survive and be a democracy. Because if we don't choose Biden, we're done. And we're not being over dramatic, you know. And if you think we are, try reading some of the accounts of women who couldn't get treatment with a pregnancy that was in peril, you know, that they almost died because they couldn't get treatment. I mean, and there is much more worse to come if we don't prevent another Trump presidency. So I think I'm done for the day.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next month with more. Hopefully, I won't have to scream at y'all again, but I love you, and I hope you understand where I was coming from with all that. And we can still win this thing. We can turn the ship around. So let's concentrate on not getting hysterical. Okay. All right. Say good night, Starr.
Good night, Starr.
All right, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow with Allison. Have a great 4th.